in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes.
Say what now? Not 120 new accusers coming out to file a lawsuit against Diddy, with the youngest being just 9 years old. Every time we think this case with Diddy can't get no worse, something new comes up, and it somehow still shocks us despite everything we heard about this demon. This comes after 120 victims came out a few days ago with their own individual lawsuits accusing Diddy of SA. These victims included grown men and women, teenagers, and literal children as young as 9 years old, and even a whole pregnant woman. Absolutely nobody was safe from Diddy, and this right here is more than enough proof of that. Apart from the multiple substance he was shoving into all these victims against their will, he had an entire line of other demonic men, and they all took turns in continuously SAing all these people, including the kids.
Who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
Chill, without talking too much, let's just get right into it, cause it's a whole lot to unpack here, and y'all definitely gonna be disgusted. All this went down a few days ago when a Texas-based attorney, Tony Busby, held a press conference and revealed that he was gonna represent over 120 new accusers who Diddy allegedly SA'd in the last 20 years. Tony said a lot of high-profile celebrities were also incriminated in the cases of his clients, and he ain't gonna hold back from mentioning any of them by name, no matter how high profile or famous the person is.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. And I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Tony also went on to detail exactly how all these victims were violated by Diddy, and it's honestly disgusting. According to Tony, Diddy used his usual tactic, which is to invite these unsuspecting people to his parties. And once he gets them to be comfortable, he gives them drinks that are heavily spiked with different kinds of substances, and he makes them drink till they pass out. Once they're unconscious, he undresses them, violates and plays with their bodies, and then passes them over to his entourage to have their way with them too. As if that's not humiliating enough to his victims, he would record them and then scare them into silence by threatening to unalive or leak the videos. Mind you, some of these victims were literally under 18 years old. In fact, to be precise, 60 of his victims were male, 60 were female, and 25 were minors at the time of the alleged misconduct, with one individual being 9 years old.
There is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of all physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm. The claims we intend to bring will include the following: sexual arrest, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling sexual conduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, of minors.
Now this is where things get even more disturbing, because Tony went on to describe in graphic detail how exactly Diddy got a hold of some of these victims. And this included the 9-year-old and the pregnant woman I was talking about. The first was a 22-year-old woman who claimed that the rule in Diddy's parties was that if they gave you a drink and you ain't take it, you'll be kicked out immediately. This made a lot of people feel pressured to take these drinks despite not knowing what exactly was in them. By the time they wake up, they find themselves in bed without any clothes in severe pains. In fact, the most popular that they found was at these parties, and almost all 125 accusers' stories were horse tranquilizers. Yeah, y'all heard that right. Diddy real crusty self was out here giving people, including kids, horse tranquilizers so he could sleep with them without their consent.
I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were with some sort of that was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual, who was 9 years old at the time, was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were this individual was abused allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class action is when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case. Each case may be filed in one venue like California, another case may be filed in New York. One case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people.
According to Tony, Diddy's 9-year-old victim went to audition to get a record deal with Bad Boy Records. But by the time he left, he had been essayed by both Diddy and several other men in the studio. And according to the little boy, Diddy convinced his parents to keep their mouths shut by promising to give him that record deal he initially came to audition for.
Another told, allegedly by Sean Combs, that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was.
But this 9-year-old wasn't even the only that Diddy SA'd, because there was another accuser who claims that when he was still a kid, he also tried auditioning to get signed. But Diddy said he would only sign him if he came over to his house for a private meeting. Once the poor boy arrived at the house with his parents, Diddy pulled him into a private room by himself and made the boy perform oral actions on him.
And then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual was, and then other individuals took turns. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up by, allegedly, by Mr. Combs.
There was another child, this time a 15-year-old girl. And according to her, Diddy flew her out to New York for a party. But she was and then allegedly taken to a private room where Diddy had his way with her. And then after he was done, made his entourage also do the same.
And several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her ankle, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes.
Then there was another victim who claimed she was 26 at the time of the SA. And according to her, Diddy and his goons picked her up at the airport and gave her a drink in the car that made her pass out. Once she woke up the next day, she was completely naked and felt major pain in her private areas.
This time, not in my attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her ankles were torn and sore.
And then there was the pregnant woman who was allegedly also SA'd. She said she attended Diddy's party, but she wasn't drinking none of them hard drinks that they had because she was pregnant. However, according to her, the soft drinks and glass of water that she took were laced with something too. She blacked out, and by the time she woke up, she was in Diddy's bed with her private parts in severe pain from what that man did to her.
Attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her were torn and sore.
There was another 20-year-old who claims she was minding her business when Diddy and his people pulled up to her on the street and invited her to a party. And I mean, Diddy was a big deal at the time, so she accepted the invitation and went to said party. However, by the time that she left, she was severely overloaded with all kinds of substances that she had never taken in by herself. When she went to the hospital to get it checked out, she was filled with and huge doses of horse tranquilizers.
A very young man who told us over the phone about his experience and all the things that happened to him, he says allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends.
And think about it. These is just the stories of 7 out of these 125 new accusers. And the reason why Tony even took these cases is because these 125 accusers have hardcore proof of what happened to them, all the way from hospital records, security camera footage, and witness accounts. Tony even went as far as giving people a hotline to call if they also a Diddy victim.
In my career, at least, we represent thousands of survivors of abuse. And never, ever in a 10-day period have we seen over 3,000 people come forward.
This conduct has created a mass of individuals who are injured, scared, and scarred. If you are one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out. If not to us, to someone you trust. If you are someone who witnessed any of these events, we ask you to reach out.
And before y'all start coming for me, these aren't my words. I'm just here to report the tea and tell y'all what's going on. So keep it cute in them comments, please. As usual, people did not hold back from sharing their thoughts. Like this person who said, "Shame on the parents. Stop selling your children to these celebs because you want riches and fame. How does an adult look at a child and see anything? How does a parent not feel parental around all children?" Another person said, "Diddler is going down, and I hope that some that were complicit will join him. Justice for the victims." But now I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about Diddy allegedly touching kids? And do y'all think Tony Busby is gonna win all of the 125 cases? Y'all been knew what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.